CW Sports.
The wait is finally over.
Daytona International Speedway. The off-season is gone.
We are ready to go. It doesn't get any better than this, racing at Daytona.
Xfinity Series where names are made. This racetrack is where careers are made.
Season starts right here. If we want to make it a great one, we got to start right now.
We'll have a heck of a night.
The season opener for the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Super Speedway, Daytona is nothing like winning here.
Winning at Daytona is everything. I wanted to win here so bad.
Know how hard it is to win at Daytona? Off we go from the world's center of racing. CW Sports live in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's time to make it happen in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and we're going to be here all season long, from Daytona in February to Phoenix in November when we crown a champion. There's the champ right there. All guys are ready to go. All the drivers with tremendous anticipation because they can finally put the off-season behind them and once again climb behind the wheel and do what they do best. Dale Jr., if you're going to get tips about racing at Daytona, I would say Dale Jr. is a pretty good place to start. Welcome into the broadcast booth, everybody, with the Daytona 500 champion, Jamie McMurray, and the man who's made the playoffs the last 2 years right here in the Xfinity Series, Parker Kligerman. I'm Adam Alexander. Let me start by saying I love your shirt.
You look great as well.
You look really good in the quarter zip,
really,
okay?
Yeah. I'm curious, how long did you prepare to say welcome to CW Sports? How many times did you practice that?
Over and over and over.
It sounded good.
It sounded like you've done it 100 times.
All right, so with that, how many times have you watched the 2010 Daytona 500?
Well, more than once.
We know winning here is special, Jamie.
It is, and I've been fortunate enough. I've won here in karts. I won the Rolex race here, and obviously been able to win the Daytona 500. The memories from that day, there's just no bigger race in NASCAR than winning the Daytona 500, but it doesn't have to be the Daytona 500. Anything here at Daytona, it's so special, guys.
And the Hall of Famer Darrell Waltrip said, "Little Jamie, baby."
Right.
Parker, give me a sense of the challenges that the drivers face here this weekend.
Well, winning at Daytona is big, but the Xfinity Series is big as well. 33 races from February to November, one of the most diverse schedules in all of motorsports, and these cars, they're some of the most fun and the hardest to drive cars in NASCAR. That's why you hear the drivers talk about them. And one of the things, though, with all that fun comes immense risk, and we see that here at Daytona, these super speedways. The big one is out there. Now, you might notice a trend in that a lot of these crashes happen in the middle of the pack. That is the danger zone. You don't want to find yourself there. It's just where the cars all sort of start to come together. Moves are made that shouldn't be, and then you end up like a wreck like this. That's me heading to the outside wall in last year's Daytona race. That was a very unfortunate moment, trying to come back to the field, but that's what you deal with here. But that's the thing about the Xfinity Series, is you want to get to the front and try and command these races, not be in those big ones.
So give me some drivers to watch then as we anticipate practice today, the race tomorrow.
So one on my mind right now, it is Valentine's Day, so this is leading there. Love is in the air, baby, right? Jesse Love in that 2 car. He came into this series, burst into the scene here in the Xfinity Series last year, won the pole here at Daytona, won at Talladega, had a very successful season. He was kind of my pseudo teammate, but the thing about Jesse is he has immense speed, and now he can take that speed and harness it with some experience. He will be a major challenger to your stalwarts of this series in Austin Hill and Justin Allgaier. I expect Jesse to be on path to make the championship 4.
Well, Parker, I tried really hard, but I couldn't find one holiday that rhymed with Zillage. So I'm just going to say Connor Zillage. When you look at his season last year, it didn't matter what kind of car he got in. He was extremely fast, whether it was setting on the pole at Watkins Glen and winning the Xfinity Series race, or I thought what was even more impressive is the fact he doesn't have a lot of oval background. Went and had 2 top 5 finishes in his limited amount of starts last year. He's going to be a threat just about everywhere we go this year.
He doesn't have a lot of oval background, but he's got swagger.
He does.
You need that.
That's
maybe
a generational
the favorite
talent right there
to be the Rookie of the Year. The season opener for the Xfinity Series is tomorrow. Today it's practice. It's all on the CW. Happy you're here.
And Doug.
You'll be back. Emus can't help people customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. You're just a flightless bird.
No, he's a dreamer, Frank.
And Doug.
Well, I'll be. That bird really did it.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The thing about traveling with your kids is that each year they get bigger, but the hotel stays the same size. Get an Airbnb and get room for everyone.
When I started college, so many people warned me about credit cards. They just seemed really scary. When I needed a car, I realized that I needed to build credit. So I got the Chime Credit Builder card because I could safely build credit without being afraid of fees or interest. And there was no credit check. My score went up over 60 points and I bought my first car. As a busy college student, having a car is an absolute must. I feel like I could do anything. My next goal, a 700 credit score. Join me at chime.com.
And it sucks.
All set and ready to go for Xfinity Series practice live from Daytona International Speedway on CW. You've heard from the guys in the booth. Now we go down to pit road and we start things off with Kim Kuhn. Good Friday afternoon to you, Kim.
Good afternoon to you. It's a new season, so new faces in new places, including new driver-spotter pairings. And we know how important the relationship is between a driver and spotter, specifically at a super speedway. And a number of drivers I talked to in the garage this morning said they were going to use this practice to learn their spotter's communication style, their timing, their tendency, get on the same page before tomorrow. There is one pair, though, that has a head start. You guys mentioned Caller Zillage before the break. He is paired with spotter Josh Williams. Now, they got to work together the entire month of January preparing for and racing the Rolex 24. I talked to Josh, and he said that is going to be a tremendous advantage headed into this weekend and as they work together through the course of the Xfinity Series season. Dylan?
Kim, somebody who is definitely familiar with their surroundings is the defending Xfinity Series champion, Justin Allgaier, back to defend that title with Junior Motorsports in the 7 car. Justin said finally winning that championship was an immeasurable weight off of his shoulder. Said that all the pressure for the rest of my career is off. I can just go have fun. I can go race and enjoy the experience of being a race car driver. Well, he had one more night of having to deal with some pressure, and it happened last night as he was trying to race his way into the Daytona 500 for Junior Motorsports. It was their first attempt as high stakes as it comes, both for driver Allgaier and car owner Dale Earnhardt Jr. You see Allgaier here, middle of the screen, just trying to weed his way through this mess on the last lap and race into Junior Motorsports, the first Daytona 500. They did it successfully with a top 10 run. Justin said the fact that they did race in has removed a massive weight from everyone's shoulders for the rest of the weekend, including the folks a part of this Xfinity Series team. So Little Gator's feeling good. He's excited for the rest of the weekend. By the way, for Junior Motorsports, may see a split strategy here in this practice. Maybe a couple cars will go out and try and run in some group running, but expect maybe the other ones to just focus on single file runs.
Yeah, it did not look good for Justin Allgaier last night. You know, early on in that duel, it just seemed like he could never get in the right position, and you could see they kept going to Dale Jr. on the pit box, and you could see the frustration, because you got to think about it. He's done that before, and he's probably saying, this is what I'd like for you to do, and there really weren't any lanes that were open, but it all worked out in the end for Justin. He was able to get on that top side and was able to get in.
That was impressive. I didn't think he was going to make it happen.
No.
He kept trying and trying, and then he finally got some help. Some people dropped up to the top, and that gave him the run he needed. But you could feel the anxiety and the desperation building. And I've been in that moment in those races, having to make the Daytona 500, and there's no more anxiety you'll feel in a race car than that exact moment, trying just to make the biggest race of the year.
Talking about Justin Allgaier, Junior Motorsports, Dale Jr., and it was Carson Kvapil that was getting some tips from the car owner prior to hitting the track. Another one of those drivers going for Rookie of the Year, one of 8 on that list, and he was so impressive a season ago when he had a chance to come over and run part-time.
He really was. I actually spoke to him and his crew chief, Andrew Overstreet, this morning, and his crew chief wanted to do some drafting, that Junior Motorsports team doesn't want to do much drafting, so we'll see if he gets that experience. He did run Talladega last year, was very competitive, made some great choices in the draft, but he wanted that experience. He actually asked me, Jamie, he goes, hey, what's the difference between Daytona and Talladega? You got any tips?
It's really wide, Talladega,
Yeah,
right? That would be the big difference that sticks out to me.
This was a little tighter.
Yeah, it looks like Jesse Love's maybe trying to get in position for a little bit of a draft, or he's just completed his lap. Almost everybody in the garage this morning said they wanted to pull out, do a mock qualifying run, see what they were going to have in qualifying, and then get in these small groups. And so as I look out, though, it seems like you see not fair laps right now because there's not enough of a gap. If you can see the car in front of you, you get a little bit of help. So more than anything, you're just kind of running through a checklist right here of seeing if there's any smoke in the car. Do you have any weird smells? The brakes feel okay? Is the bottoming out anywhere? Just kind of getting a baseline for what you're going to have tomorrow.
How's your seat fit? That sort of thing. Where's the wheel position? Mirrors, all that stuff. The vibrations. You're just going through all the checklists on some of these laps. It's sort of knocking. I hate the cliche of knocking the rust off.
It is, though.
But it is.
Yeah.
There's a weirdness to it. But until you get in that race car and you go fast in it, you just don't know how all that stuff is going to mesh and feel, and that's what you do in these first few laps.
Yeah, I would say, like, every year that I came here, if we didn't get to do a test prior to getting to Daytona, it was always a little bit awkward the first couple of laps on the track. And you mentioned it, like your seat. You're like, why my seat doesn't feel the same as it did a month and a half ago? Everything just seems a little bit different. But once you get in, you get a little bit of sweat built up. You kind of get back in the groove. You're ready to go and get out and do some drafting.
And the seat, Adam, never fits differently because of some pounds you put on in the offseason. Just want to put that out there.
It's very
like my
similar.
suit. My body has not changed at all.
Very similar to Adam's khakis. So that's what I was
that's
thinking,
how
yeah.
I know how my off-season is
right.
gone. Do my khakis fit when I return to the studio? Here's Brandon Jones, a new team for him in 2025. Spent a couple of years at Junior Motorsports after winning 5 races when he was driving at Joe Gibbs Racing before, but he's back at JGR and driving that 20, paired with Sam McCauley, who will be on the pit box.
This will be interesting to watch for Brandon Jones, just in terms of kind of the new old team, going back to where he's had some success. He just couldn't quite find it in that Junior Motorsports situation, but we'll see if he can find some of that fire again. Kim, do you have something to add on him?
Yeah, just listening with drivers, a heavy back stretch headwind is the report I'm getting from a number of teams. You can see the flags right now. And so as we're seeing these single car runs, if you're getting a headwind along the back stretch, how's that going to affect the car, Parker? And then if we see maybe some small draft work later in this practice, what kind of feedback are you wanting from your driver with that condition as a single car versus once we start seeing cars start to work together with those conditions?
It's a great point, Kim. I can tell you from going out and doing single lap qualifying in the truck, the wind actually moves it around. So one of the things, especially for the truck, was, Jamie, noticed like when you get those wind gusts, it just sort of makes the car wander and do some odd things. Even when you're by yourself in the draft, way harder to feel any of that. It really just, only thing that you could really maybe even feel is a tailwind versus a headwind sort of thing in terms of the speed of the draft. But when you're by yourself, you'll notice some of that, and you have to kind of decipher, hey, that's not the car having dardiness, that's the wind literally pushing me around a little bit.
Yeah, and when you do the single car runs, you listen to the pitch of the engine. And so as we're riding on board right here with Daniel Dye, you listen to that pitch of the engine, and when you hit a headwind, you hear it bog down, you automatically know you're slowing down. When you turn, you go down the backstretch, you feel it pick back up. I never thought the wind really had as big of effect in the draft because there's so much air moving around anyway, but you obviously hear it and feel it much more just on a single car run.
I'm watching our throttle graphic here. I can assure you from the sound of the engine, he is not lifting right now, so a little bit of interference on our throttle measurer, but what you're talking about exactly, it's kind of the only telltales you have. And sometimes you do a lap at Daytona or Talladega by yourself, and you're like, that was slow. And they're like, oh, no, it's P1. Oh, okay. And you do another one, you're like, that was fast. They're like, hey, we're going to struggle to be in the top 20 here. Like,
well,
oh, okay.
And your best reference is if you get to do one in practice, then when you go out to qualify, you've maybe peaked at the tack, and you know that you're at 8,000 RPMs. And if in qualifying, you get just that little bit more, you hear the pitch of the engine, you can see the RPMs are a little higher, you're going to know that's better. Bottoming out like that is good since the car's traveling, but it also knocks just a little bit of speed out of the car.
Justin Allgaier in the garage, and the report is the reigning champ not pleased with that 7 right now.
Is it idling okay?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like it idles fine, it runs fine, it just doesn't go anywhere in high gear.
Yeah, was it all on the back stretch? We got a pretty good headwind. I know 6,000's way off, but I think maybe it's that. Let's look everything over when we get in here.
So that's really interesting. He's basing that off what I was just saying, like the pitch of the engine. He knows what that's supposed to sound like, and it sounds like, you know, when he talks about it idles fine, that means it feels smooth or it feels normal at an idle. And as he's going through the gears, it feels like it accelerates fine. He's just saying, like, look, when I get into high gear, it's like I have a parachute. I'm going to guess some of that's wind. There could be an issue. Typically, if you have an issue, you're going to see smoke. You're going to see some other things. It's going to vibrate really bad. So get back out and let him run a lap and see what he has.
40 minutes to go in practice. RCR teammates at the top. Jesse Love, Austin Hill, followed by Zilich, Sawalich, and Quapple. Jeff Burton getting ready to hit the track. We're back at Daytona International Speedway. It's practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Just under 40 minutes remaining. It's their only practice session before qualifying tomorrow morning in the race tomorrow afternoon. Getting us going with our coverage on CW, Carla Metz. She'll be hosting NASCAR Countdown Live, 4 Eastern time. She's with us now. Good afternoon, Carla.
Yeah, appreciate it, Adam. And let's talk more about this rookie class that we're going to see from the Xfinity Series this season. It is the largest one to date. And yeah, we know in 2018 they had 9. But again, not all of those guys were full-time. And this season, it's 8 full-time drivers. It's not only just a large class in general, but it is full of talent as well. Adam, you and I were talking with Jason Ratcliffe in the garage earlier today. And he was talking about, I don't know if I've ever seen a class quite like this one. And I'm not sure that I ever will. Dylan?
Carla, one of the most highly touted of that rookie list is Connor Zilich. So got a couple laps out there, but this is your first time here in Daytona in the Xfinity car. So what do you want to try to learn today? What can you learn in this session?
Yeah, for me, you know, getting through the gears, it's only my second super speedway race, so some practice at that was nice for sure. And just getting a feel of the track, it's a little different than Talladega, a little tighter. So yeah, just learning as much as we can. Obviously, not a ton you can learn. It's a lot different than the race, but good to, you know, feel everything, get all the bugs out after the off season, and get ready for the race tomorrow.
We've heard some guys kind of talk about just walking through the garage about maybe wanting to do a little drafting. Some guys don't want to do it. What's the benefit for you if you do go out to decide to draft of just being in a pack?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to fill your car and see if it's as fast as Xfinity Mobile while you're out there around some other guys. You know, we have a really fast WeatherTech Chevrolet everywhere we're going to go. I got a lot of confidence in this junior motorsports group that we're going to be competitive all year long, but it would be helpful to get around some other cars to feel it, but at the same time, sometimes it's not worth the risk.
He's a rookie, but he's already got the Xfinity plug worked in. Well done. Thanks, Connor.
He's undefeated in that category. Maybe Parker was coaching him up down there. Let's rewind to his Xfinity debut, because my expectations were up there because he's such a good road racer, but he went to Watkins Glen, sets on the pole, and then he laid it on him last August.
He kicked our butt. I'm just going to put it out there. It was unbelievable. The speed he had that weekend was like nothing I'd ever seen, especially for a rookie to just jump in these cars, all the pressure and the eyes on him, and he never missed a beat in that debut. It was unbelievable. And, one of the things that really sticks out to me about Connor is when we raced with him a little bit last year, that was amazing to see at the road course. But on the ovals, he had a car control that was like nothing I'd ever seen, because we saw this, we go to Kansas. He has this ginormous slide in front of me on the start of the race, somehow gathers up. At Homestead, one that didn't get shown, we're racing for like 10th when we're in a run. He does it again, smoke coming off the right rear. I'm sitting there going, oh, we've wrecked. We've got a caution here. He gathered it up. The guy's car control is unbelievable. He's a generational talent. I know there's a lot of pressure on him, and this is going to be a tall task here at Daytona, but I think he's really up to the task.
Yeah, I mean, Connor, he said it right there in his interview. For all these guys, you need to be out there in the pack, but the risk versus the reward is not worth it right now. We're not going to see a big pack today because all these guys want to save their car, but ultimately the only way that these guys are going to learn about drafting and what they need to do is to be out there in the pack that you're going to see tomorrow.
I feel like every driver that we talk about is a rookie. You know what I mean? Here's another
a lot of
one.
rookies.
I mean, it's incredible, and we're going to say it so many times throughout the season. Nick Sanchez driving the 48 for Big Machine. You know what this operation is like, Parker. He's a talented driver, no question. A couple of wins last year in the Truck Series. Made the playoffs the last 2 seasons driving on the truck side of things, and huge opportunity for him in that 48.
Really is, and I would just like to say that car looks beautiful, even though I'm not. It looks good, man. I just love that paint scheme. It's so great. But no, I think Nick is he's got a massive opportunity here, and he's going to take hold of it. He had a really impressive years in the Truck Series, and I just think he's stepped into a situation where over the last couple of years we've really built that organization up, gotten through many of the growing pains and the processes you have to put in place, which led to us, performing better each year and being able to make the playoffs. And now it's up to him to take it to the next step, finally get them in victory lane. I will say this, looking right now, he's 12th on the board. Patrick Donahue, the crew chief on that thing, he prides himself on the single car speed at these super speedways and trying to get a pole. He wants one really badly at one of these super speedways. They're going to have to find a little bit more right now. But if nothing else, that car just continues to look great, especially under the cloud cover.
99, Matt DiBenedetto. This is a new team, Viking Motorsports. They started last year and laid a foundation partnering with the C Group. But they've changed manufacturers, going from Ford to Chevrolet, moved the operation from Georgia up to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. In B.J. McLeod's shop, Matt, a talented race car driver, high hopes for this race team driving the 99.
Yeah, and I think you also got to look at the crew chief. Pat Trison was around forever in the Cup Series. Really good crew chief. He was actually at Roush when I was over there. Really sharp guy. And when we spoke with Matt on Media Day, he seemed really optimistic about this. And I can't help but have a little bit of a soft spot for Matt. He's kind of had that chance in Cup and wasn't able to make it. And I tell people all the time, making it to Cup is really hard. Staying there is even harder. It's so tough to compete at that level. He's hoping to get his feet back underneath him and have some good runs. And Matt's really talented. He's been good at a lot of different types of racetracks. And if you remember a few years ago at Talladega, he was right on the verge of winning a Cup race at Talladega. And of course, it's all about making the right decision at the right time, and it didn't work out for him. But high hopes for Matt this year.
I love this situation for him. I think this is the kind of thing for a driver, especially like you mentioned, like him, that's sort of been a journeyman and jumped around a bit here and there. It seems to me, in talking to him, he's kind of found that home a little bit, a place he can build. He's very much integral to the building process of that place. It reminds me of Big Machine 2 or 3 years ago, right? Trying to get their feet wet, get in the series. The ownership is really invested in it and loves this, and I think they've got great-looking race cars, and Matt was very excited when we talked to him, and I think for good reason, because he knows that this is an opportunity for him to really make his mark, to find a home, and he loves being in the Xfinity Series. As many drivers talk about, they just love driving these cars.
Leland Honeyman driving the 70 car in 2025. Last year was driving the 42 for Young's Motorsports. This is a new team as well, Cope Family Racing, owned by Derek Cope, who won the Daytona 500 1990. Incredible finish. It looks like Earnhardt's finally going to get it done, right? Has the issue into turn 3. Cope drives by and pulls the upset, but now he's in the game from an ownership perspective, and the guy behind the wheel is a youngster from Phoenix, Leland Honeyman.
Yeah, and he's got to have a little bit of confidence come here, because when you have a good run at a super speedway or a drafting type track, you're ready to go to the next one. He finished 4th at Talladega last April, so probably feels good coming here. And it's a great place to start the season, because for teams that you don't think are going to have a chance to win or run in the top 5 every single week, when you come to Daytona, we know almost everybody has a shot.
30 minutes to go. It's practice for the Xfinity Series at Daytona International Speedway. Leading the way, Jesse Love. You're watching it all.
We got a wave.
CW Sports.
Hey.
Hello.
Happy Valentine's Day.
The energy and feel of coming to the World Center of Racing in February. And I feel like it doesn't matter how many times you do this, every trip is special and unique, and the anticipation just builds throughout the weekend, and we can't wait for tomorrow afternoon, 5 o'clock Eastern time, when we can finally put the green flag in the air and bring CW in and do what's going to be great all season long, is bringing you the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Let's go to Carla.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, here with Dale Jr., and it has been quite the 24 hours for you, racing your way into the Daytona 500. Obviously, you've asked a lot from your driver and Justin Allgaier. How special was yesterday for you?
It's awesome. Just now getting my feet back on the ground, to be honest with you. Just an incredible experience, but that's why, that's what makes racing so much fun, is going through those challenges and all the heartbreak and effort that goes into it. When it comes out good, man, it's all worth it. And yeah, if it was any other way, it wouldn't be as fun. So just happy that things are going well. We got practices today. They're important. We've had a little carburetor issue on the 7, had to change the carburetor. So getting those bugs worked out for these guys and trying to get ourselves into this Xfinity race so we can have a great run Saturday.
And how is Justin handling it all? Because you have put a lot on his plate.
He's in better shape today. Yesterday was so hard on all of us, but maybe on him more than anybody. I've never seen him as nervous as he was. I know I was as nervous as I've ever been. Our spotter, Joey Meyer, he was as nervous as he's ever been. Probably the same for for Greg Eyes and everybody. I mean, we were just all had our backs to the wall. So it was fun, though, and today's a much easier day, at least for now. And you never know, though. You never know what Daytona's got in store for you.
Yeah, and Xfinity Series, Daytona is still super special as well. How do you put that into words for these drivers?
Yeah, I just tell them to enjoy it. You know, I think, I don't know if that helps them at all, but we got some young guys on our team this year, and just trying to help them understand the importance and magnitude of the racetrack and what a blessing and privilege it is for them to be here and to be able to experience this and to absorb it, you know, and enjoy it. They want to do well. They want to put a lot of pressure on themselves to go out there and perform and show they got the ability to be here, but maybe I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have when I was younger because I was too worried about doing well, and I'm just trying to help them to have both sides of that, right? Push yourself to perform, but also soak it up and enjoy the moment.
Love that. We appreciate your time. A happy Junior Motorsports, Adam, for the weekend.
I love what he said right there, because I feel the same way. I feel like when you're in the moment, you don't enjoy the moment. You go out like for qualifying when you're a driver, and it's just a procedure. You jump in the car, you do your qualifying lap. I watched Dale Jr. all day on Wednesday. He was at the track before the sun came up, which if you know Dale, he's not an early riser. So he gets up, he's here, he's pushing the car through the garage, and then to see him on pit road at 8:30 that night with the car going down pit road, and just the excitement, not only in qualifying, the disappointment after qualifying, and then the joy of making it in the duel. It's pretty cool, and he's right. I mean, the older you get, the more that you learn to appreciate the magnitude of this racetrack and just how special it is.
Sammy Smith now leading. He's top of the board because he's out there in the draft. Here's 8 radio.
And right now it's got 0054 behind you. Running this lap wide open here. Hard as you can, each in. The 00 would like to see if you touch brake, if you can break the bubble to get you going, but we don't really have to do that if you don't want.
So what you're hearing them talk about there is trying to break the bubble. This is unique to the Xfinity Series car, where there's this bubble of air that develops behind the car in front of you. So we know bump drafting, which is when your bumper actually touches the rear bumper of the car in front of you. But right there, you see the 54 and the 00, where that's that space between them, and now the 00 starts to get away. That's essentially the bubble that can be created between the cars, and you're trying to break that. So what you'll do is, it's not just up to the back car, the car that's trying to do the pushing. The front car can help break that by utilizing the brake, lifting off, and that might mean, you know, people always think brake means slow down. Sometimes brake in a super speedway means go faster because you're actually connecting better, that sort of thing. So that's what they're working on here, and it's interesting to see two manufacturers working together on that, as it usually is not something you would do. You'd work with teammates or your same manufacturer to see how that works for you.
But you know what's funny about that, and you talk about kind of mixing teams and manufacturers. When I started hearing some of the rumors in the garage today about who goes with who, backup cars become a big question mark, right? And so if you say, hey, we got 4 teammates at Junior Motorsports or Joe Gibbs Racing, let's all go out together. One little hiccup, and now everybody's going to a backup, right? You don't want anything to happen in the wrong way. However, if it does, at least in this situation, you're not having to unload every hauler.
It's a really good point. It's who you can actually get convinced to do it. In this day and age, you know, we're just so not attuned to having so much practice, to having those backups fully prepared, and so you're really in a box in terms of what risk you want to take. Even though you want to learn, you want to find these things out, which these drivers are learning how their car is kind of reacting to draft. We saw some bottoming out earlier that can happen when you're drafting, and you start to feel that. They're sort of experiencing how the runs are developing and that sort of thing. But really, I like to say sometimes in super speedway racing, practice is laps 1 through 10, and then it's on you to figure it out from there.
You see in our bumper there, drivers running the most laps, top 4, top 3, all going for Rookie of the Year. So those young drivers doing what they need to do, and that's get out there, get experience, get a feel, make sure they're in a good place.
Yeah, and one of those guys, William Zawalich, he's going to have plenty of practice before we see the Xfinity race tomorrow. He's running the truck and the ARCA race, so he'll have a lot of time prior to getting into the Xfinity car tomorrow night. And Parker, I think it's going to be so interesting. And you said it, it's counterintuitive that you have to let off the gas to back up to the car behind you to then get your bumpers locked. And the goal is you want to do that on the exit of the corner, so you get to have the entire straightaway that they can push you. And it's just so hard because you feel like you're giving up so much time, and you're also thinking, what if the guy behind me doesn't push me and I've let off and I'm backing up to him and then he pulls out of line? So you want somebody that you know is going to be loyal to you when you're doing that. Dylan, do you have something on the 19?
Just as we watch him lead this group of 4 here down the front straightaway, and Kim was talking about the driver-spotter relationship earlier and how important that is. Justin Bonsignor last night stood on the roof during the duels and had a radio on and listened to his spotter, Stevie Reeves, spot Christopher Bell, just to try to kind of understand the lingo that Stevie uses when he'll be talking to the drivers, just to get himself acclimated that much more to both the Xfinity car and this racing as well. This is only his second career Xfinity start, 4-time NASCAR mod champ, so certainly a veteran and capable race car driver, but learning just kind of by drinking through a fire hose right now in this practice session, just trying to learn all he can. And so he stood up top last night and watched and listened as best he could.
Yeah, Dylan, I think that's a great point. If you can watch that and listen at the same time and see it happen, it's almost like you're getting the same experience from being inside the car. And Justin going up to do that says a lot about who he is and how much he wants to learn. He has so much experience in racing, but not in this type of racing. And he, he's a short track guy, right? He's a 4-time modified series champion. But we talked to him earlier today, and he's like, man, this is so foreign to me. So by going up and getting a little bit of experience last night, it's going to put him farther ahead. You see right here, I'm telling you, I've watched him race for years in these modifieds. He is just the man in these. 4-time champion. You see him right there at Martinsville. Those little cars are so cool. Look at the size of the tires on that
rough
thing.
and tumble racing, too.
It is.
That's
it's
the
aggressive.
thing about the modifieds to me. It's just like it's elbows out. They don't hold back. They're always running into each other, full contact. This is going to seem gentle compared to that.
Right.
Even the bump drafts are going to seem gentle because, to your point about the learning the spotter lingo, I always appreciate that level of dedication and work ethic to try and figure it out. But I don't know if it's ever worked for me to go listen to someone else and then understand and put myself in the context of how is that going to relate to when I'm in the car.
I don't think you can ever go wrong putting extra effort in.
Yep.
It might not always benefit you, but it's never going to hurt you. So I'm big on work ethic. And when I see that, I gain respect for those people immediately, knowing that it might not help them, but they're trying and they're trying to do everything they can. And when you have limited time on a track, you're better off to be up there than to be at your hotel and watching it on TV.
Yeah. I remember, gosh, it's been 10 years ago probably. I was doing an Xfinity race at Bristol. Race is over. We leave the booth. All the spotters are coming down same area. Tyler Reddick is there, who at the time was driving in the truck series, I believe, for Brad Keselowski. He's got a radio in his hand. I said, what in the world are you doing here? Trucks didn't even run that weekend. He said, I was just on the spotter stand trying to get educated. And I'm like, wow, student of the game. I guess it's any knowledge you can gain, you can apply when it comes to racing for real.
I must counter my own point there because I was just telling Jamie earlier, I remember his 2010 Daytona 500 win because I was on the spotter stand that entire time. So I used to
what he said was he wished the race wouldn't have been so long.
Yeah, I said, come on, I fell asleep up there.
When you come to Daytona, at least in recent years, especially in February, there's one name you need to know, Austin Hill, Kim.
That's right, Adam. He's won the last 3 season openers at Daytona in the Xfinity Series. You know what kind of car you need here. Do you have it based on what you saw in practice?
Yeah, we only ran twice, and both times it was single car runs. So we've never really done any drafting in practice, so I don't ever really know what I have with our Bennett Chevrolet until we get into the race. But it feels as fast as Xfinity Mobile for sure. I think that qualifying tomorrow is going to be what it is, and then once we get in the race, that first stage, you always kind of figure out what your car has, what it's capable of doing, what it's capable of not doing, and what we need to work on throughout the race. I tend to like the car a little on the tight side so I can make some of my moves that I like to make once the race gets started. I feel like I have that right now, but I'm not in the draft yet, so we'll have to wait and see tomorrow, but can't thank everybody enough at RCR, ECR Engines. It's blazing fast right now, so can't wait to get going tomorrow. I'm excited to be back, excited to have the CW on board, and ready to get this weekend started.
One of the changes for you this season was a new crew chief, Chad Haney. How beneficial is having extended practice like this, even if you don't use the whole thing, to just get acclimated to each other?
Yeah, we did a lot of discussing things in the off season, just different types of things on what I like in the race car, what he can provide, just the way that he goes about a weekend, his lingo, that type of thing. and I feel like we've hit it off really strong so far. Rockingham test was great for us to go out there and kind of talk things to and try to make the car better at Rockingham. And then being able to come here today and just kind of go through the motion, it's been really good for everyone on this 21 team, and I can't wait to get this weekend going.
Austin Hill looking for his historic consecutive 4th win in the season opener in the Xfinity Series at Daytona.
He wins 4 in a row when you talk about the season opener. But if he wins here tomorrow, even next week in Atlanta, it would be Austin's 8th win in the draft. So if you look at where that puts him on the all-time list, he would match Dale Earnhardt and Tony Stewart. In fact, he and Dale Jr. tied for 3rd on the list right now at 7 apiece. Just incredible the names he's being mentioned with when you talk about this style of racing.
That's incredible, and that's amazing names to be with. And I think there's a lot of people that are sort of detractors of Austin Hill and what he's been able to accomplish here will say, oh, well, he has the fastest car every time because they qualify in the front row or win the pole by 3 or 5 tenths. Or, hey, he's found luck or his pit crew helped him get in there, that sort of thing. But when you've raced against him like I did the last couple of years, you start to see what makes him special at these racetracks and what he mentioned there and what he wants in the car. And it is the fact that he absolutely never hesitates to take a run. And he takes runs where all my experience says that's not going to work out, but he forces a way to make it work out. He almost bullies his way to the front at times, which people do refer to him as a bully throughout the series. He's a bigger guy. He's very intimidating a bit. But I think the thing about how he approaches super speedway racing that I really came to appreciate in the last 2 years was that there's the idea of never not taking a run. It's getting to the front at all costs, and it's really constantly fighting for the front as if it's the last lap. And if you watch him, you'll start to notice he just never relents in trying to take control of the race.
Under 15 minutes to go in practice. Taylor Gray's been busy. 17 laps is the most in the session, and he is quickest in front of his teammate William Sawalich, Sammy Smith, Sheldon Creed, Carson Quapple, the top 5. You're watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series on CW. Busy evening and weekend ahead here at Daytona International Speedway. Cup practice comes your way 5:30 Eastern Time. FS1 has the coverage. They'll also have the season opener for the Craftsman Truck Series tonight. 7:30 is the green flag there. We're back tomorrow on the CW app. It's qualifying for these Xfinity cars, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. ARCA takes center stage on Fox tomorrow at noon. Cup final practice for the Great American Race, 3 o'clock Saturday on FS2. Season opener on the Xfinity side comes at 5 o'clock Eastern. NASCAR Countdown Live at 4. And, of course, Sunday, the Great American Race. Time moved up to 1:30 on Fox with some potential weather moving through Daytona on Sunday.
Got a question?
Fire away.
We might have an answer.
Do you have any favorites for the truck race? Anybody you're pulling for? Anybody at all?
Corey Heim.
That's who I was going to go with.
Wow. That's it. That is so mean, isn't it?
That's cute, guys.
I
really
just
cute.
couldn't decide.
I can tell you two have worked together before.
If I was going to play the political game or if I was going to be a jerk.
For all those listening, can you tell I'm new up here?
we will be pulling for Parker, without a doubt.
Thanks, guys.
You think you got a shot?
I like to say the best super speedway trucks qualify between 12th and 22nd. We qualified 23rd. I'm right on the cusp.
I was at your merchandise trailer earlier buying a T-shirt.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That goes to support the GoFundMe for racing.
They were on sale, he said.
Who I should be asking is this guy we're watching right now is Christian Eckes. New at Collie, taking over that ride for AJ Allmendinger. This is one I think this year has just such an opportunity. From all I saw out of him in trucks, raced against him a little bit, but really just the way he approached races. And I keep going back to that moment at Martinsville last year when he basically didn't need to win the race to make it to the Championship 4, but took that shot at Taylor Gray and put himself in jeopardy for the championship, but winning meant so much. That is determination to win.
Listen, when you were talking about Austin Hill being aggressive, I immediately thought about Christian Eckes because I think he races very aggressively. And I asked him a few weeks ago about Martinsville. I'm like, hey, in hindsight, if you go back, would you have done that again? And before I could finish the sentence, he's like, absolutely. And I'm like, well, there you go. Like, that's who he is. And
gotta appreciate it.
As long as he's willing to pay the consequences of maybe being too aggressive at times, it's hard to fault him.
What's up, Dylan?
Found a couple of Joe Gibbs Racing drivers down here that are out of their car, including William Sawalich, who is second right now on the speed chart. So done with 10 minutes to go. Take that as a good sign. What do you feel like was the most beneficial thing you learned there in this session?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our Sound Gear Toyota Supra was as fast as Xfinity Mobile. So, I mean, hopefully we'll take that to the race and obviously qualify good. So that's the objective, and it feels good to be out there for the first time.
All right, we have seen Sawalich, of course, in the Xfinity Series a couple times last year, but full time for his rookie campaign this year in 2025, Kim.
Well, Dylan, for the reigning Xfinity Series champ, it was a little bit of a slow start to practice. What was the issue, and is there any concern for tomorrow?
No concern. We just had a part come apart on the carburetor that didn't allow it to really be at wide open throttle. And, you know, at that point for us, I've been doing this long enough. I kind of knew what was wrong, or at least something was wrong, and no reason to hurt the motor or anything like that. So we're able to get that fixed, no issues at all. So really proud of everybody at Junior Motorsports. You know, this 7 team, everybody on this brand Professional Agriculture Chevrolet did a really good job. Probably one of the best driving speedway cars I've ever had. So, you know, that's a big positive. You know, obviously to have comfort, sometimes you maybe give up a little bit of speed. Maybe not quite as fast as Xfinity Mobile at the moment, but at the same time, you know, we come into this race with a lot of momentum, a lot of positivity. You know, things have been really good this offseason. Obviously qualifying our way into the 500 last night with the first injury for Junior Motorsports. So a lot of positives this week, and looking forward to getting out there and racing tomorrow.
Justin Allgaier, the reigning champ, has meant so much to the Xfinity Series. Top 10 on the all-time wins list. And later this year, he will go over 500 starts at the Xfinity level. Wow. Inside of 10 minutes to go, it's practice at Daytona.
Get in on a great deal with buy one footlong, get one free, now in the Subway app. That's right, today in the Subway app, when you buy one delicious, fresh-sliced, meaty, saucy, fresh-chopped, veggie-packed footlong sub, you get another footlong free. A deal this good usually means you're signing up for a 2-year contract, but not here. No gimmicks, no catch. Just 2 footlongs for the price of 1. Get the deal now online or in-app, code FLBOGO. But hurry, the deal's only here for a limited time.
I was ready to start building my credit, but I didn't want a credit card with fees, interest, or end up in expensive debt. So I got the Chime Credit Builder card, and I use it for everything. There's no annual fees, no interest, and there's no minimum deposit required. My card limit is based on my own money, and Chime can cover me up to $200 on top of that, fee-free. My credit score is in the 700s, and I just got approved for a mortgage. Join the millions of Chime members like me building credit every day at Chime.com.
On practice for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and all these teams will reset for qualifying tomorrow. And of course, the race tomorrow afternoon. 32 is Jordan Anderson. Behind him, one of his new drivers. He's the driver owner, Blaine Perkins, in the 31 this year. 27 is Jeb Burton. They put 2 cars in the top 5 in this race a season ago.
They really have a competitive super speedway program. A lot of big improvements over at Jordan Anderson Racing. Was talking to him earlier today. They're building their own clips. They're doing their bodies in-house. Not quite these super speedway bodies, but for the rest of the season they'll be doing them. So massive improvements. And keep an eye on that 27 Golden Corral car. That's Jeb Burton. He's a dog on the super speedways. And I use that term.
Wait a minute, is that D-A-W-G?
Yeah, it's whatever way you want to spell it, but he's a dog. And I tell you what, because he will find a way to get to the front, hell or high water, it doesn't matter. He wants to get to the front. He knows these races are his opportunity. He puts a lot of pressure on himself, but at the same token, you can keep an eye on him.
You know, his dad, Ward, won the Daytona 500 2002. He's got 2 wins in his career. Both have come in the draft, kind of helping to make your point there. And as you said, this organization has been top-notch. You know, we talk about Jeb here. We haven't mentioned Harrison's name. Harrison Burton, his cousin, who won the last time we were down here at Daytona in a Cup car, win 100 for the Wood brothers. He's now back in the Xfinity Series, where he won 4 times as a rookie at Joe Gibbs Racing, driving the 25 for AM Racing this year. Another team to watch as they look to take the next step, and I think it's going to be outstanding to have Harrison behind the wheel.
You know, we haven't seen the big pack out there, but the one thing that I have heard common among every driver that we've talked to is that they thought their car handled well. And I think that will be good for tomorrow, because if everybody thinks your car drives well, you can be more aggressive in the pack. It will be interesting, though, do they handle well when you get 35 of them out there together, because that typically changes a little bit.
There's a good cloud cover right now as well.
But I do love the optimism that all these guys like the handling of their car, because that means they'll be just a little bit more aggressive.
One thing that actually is different this year from the past, it's a little inside baseball, but usually you'd have to keep your qualifying adjustments in at the super speedways. They're allowing them to change it. So normally that first run, the car would handle terribly. You just were waiting to get to the pit stop. The thing would be super loose, all the rounds. They were trying to get the rear spoiler out of the air. You'd come down that first pit stop, they'd crank those rounds back in it, and then the thing would start to drive normal again. They've taken that away, so drivers right from the back can be far more aggressive. And they like their cars. This could be great for us up here.
Right. That's what I was getting at. I think that'll be good.
I say aggressive, though. I mean, it doesn't always equal good.
That's right.
When you're speedway racing. Dylan?
Sheldon Creed, who is 4th right now. New team for him this year, going over to the Haas factory team. So this is the 2nd year in a row you've come to Daytona with a new team. But what have you learned about the 00 Ford here in this session?
Yeah, it certainly feels really good. You know, not a whole lot of, I guess, driving goes into Daytona. Just trying to, you know, check off your checklist, your boxes a little bit. Did a single car run and then ran I don't know, 8 to 10 laps there in a small pack. So just tried to feel it around and see what it wanted to do. I ran pit road like 5 or 6 times, just trying to, yeah, get comfortable with everything. Haven't driven the cars in 3 months, so just checking the boxes and making sure we're ready for tomorrow. Yeah, appreciate everyone at Haas Factory team working hard all winter. Friends of Jacqueline, Ford, have a really nice looking dark horse Ford Mustang here. So excited to get the season going.
Yeah, definitely can't miss it. Great looking race car, and it's fast too. Creed's 4th fastest.
Second here in this race a year ago. Hey, I want to go back to something he said, making a run to pit road. Saw several drivers do that. Probably going to see a green flag pit stop tomorrow. It usually happens here just when you look at the way this race is structured and the strategy. It's good to have that, and we're seeing it right here.
It's incredibly tough, too, to do and just get your braking point correct and not lock those tires up. You will see it if we go green past lap 70-ish in this race. Is about the time you want to get on pit road for that third stage. The first 2 stages you can kind of go through, but it's on everyone's mind, is that green flag pit stop, because if it's green, you start to feel the anticipation. This is going to happen, and it's such a big moment in a race at a super speedway when that green flag stop happens, especially with all the rookies we've got in the field. And if you're someone like Jamie, who's been successful at this, and you've done it many times, your biggest fear is not really yourself. It's the others that are going to come down around you and with you that might make a mistake and ruin your day.
Yeah, and it's almost a 100% chance that if we have a green flag stop, someone will overshoot pit road or they'll overshoot their pit stall, because it's slicker in the race than it is in practice. I don't know why. You can practice it 100 times. Whatever your braking points were, you need to back them up a little bit, because it's always worse in the race.
And that has nothing to do mentally. That's just that we're going faster.
That's right.
The red and black flags are out. Practice is over. Taylor Gray, the quickest. Kim?
Yeah, Taylor Gray at the top of the board. You got a little bit of draft work in there, but a small draft. This is your first Xfinity Series start at Daytona. What was the big takeaway from this practice for you?
Yeah, biggest thing is just kind of getting used to these cars at Daytona, right? I ran the trucks here, and it's quite a bit different, right? A lot of different things to kind of focus on, and a lot of different things you're going to feel. So I feel pretty good about our Operation Standard GR Supra. I'd say we're as fast as Xfinity Mobile today. Hopefully we can be as fast as Xfinity Mobile tomorrow, and go for a good starting spot.
Knowing that tomorrow's going to be very different, running a large pack versus a small pack, what things are you doing overnight to prepare?
Yeah, I think we're just going to go through our notebook, right, and study up a little bit more, and kind of just watch some past races and see kind of where it trends to, and again, go back to Jason's notes and kind of see where the balance trends to, and kind of just make an educated guess from there, right? I mean, you don't know for sure. Nothing's for sure, so just kind of have to make educated guesses.
Taylor mentioned Jason. That's Jason Radcliffe, his crew chief. Taylor Gray, part of that big rookie Xfinity Series class we talked about at the top of the broadcast.
And it's rookies from Joe Gibbs Racing that lead the way. Gray right in front of William Sawalich. What jumps out, page 1?
I see three Gibbs guys all lined up there together.
They were really fast at these races at the end of last year. They found something in that summer race at Daytona, and it's continued. I think they will be just as fast as last year.
5 Toyotas inside the top 10.
See Jeff Burton. Parker just talked about it. He always seems to be able to find his way to the front, has a knack for this. Jesse Love, the RCR cars, you know qualifying tomorrow, they 100% will be a factor for
them in the
front
16.
row.
Christian Eck is really fast in qualifying.
You're starting to see the dividing line of those who went out in the draft and those who only made a single car run, right?
Yeah, J.J. Yaley came so close to making the Daytona 500 last night. He had that battle with Justin Allgaier. You see there in 25th.
We'll have to keep an eye down here just as we get to qualifying tomorrow, see who makes this field. That's always a tense time. It was tense for me just in the truck seat earlier to make it into the race. It's really tense when you come down to Daytona trying to qualify in time. The weather can play a factor, and as a driver, sometimes you feel so helpless. There's some crew chiefs that will have a very long night tonight.
What's tonight like for these drivers, the night before a big race at Daytona?
I mean, I just think you have more nerves out for the first race. It's not only the first race, it's the biggest race of the year. Being here at Daytona, we opened the show with that, the magnitude of this event. I love Dale Jr. talking about how it's a privilege to get to race at a track like this. And when you go back and you lay down tonight, you think about how your car was today, the changes you maybe want to make tomorrow, and then you just think the what if. What if I get to go to Victory Lane at Daytona tomorrow?
That must be why you were able to win the big one, because the problem for me is when I wake up the morning of a super speedway, I think sometimes, why am I doing this? This could end badly. This could be terrible. This could be just a big wreck in my future. And then when the helmet goes on, all that starts to go away. But it definitely, there's the anxious feelings, the idea of there's a lot out of your control in these races. And then you add in, but it's the biggest race. And so there's this idea of, But what if it went so well? What if this all works out? And that's where you really need to keep a positive mindset and just try and focus on that. And hopefully you can get to win here at this great place.
I thought that I worried about a lot of things, and I have realized Parker has me beat.
But hey, let's face it, there is an added anxiety and tension when it comes to racing at this place. And I will say, too, I mean, practice is what it is. Qualifying will be what it is tomorrow. When it comes to this race, a stout field, and truly there is going to be a long list of drivers that you could make a case for when we go green tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a busy Saturday for us. We're back with qualifying 10 o'clock in the morning on the CW app. NASCAR Countdown Live comes your way at 4. The race tomorrow at 5 on CW with Parker Kligerman and Jamie McMurray. I'm Adam Alexander. Thank you for watching. So long from Daytona.